Hi, everybody. Time for another midweek chat here. Over a week now since we've been back from our Holy Land pilgrimage. So, getting well rested. I brought some. I think when I got back, I just got a little bit sick, so I still got. But that happens after a big deal sometimes. You get your resistance wears down. You stay well when you have to be well, and then afterwards you maybe the bug catches up with you. But anyway, it's good. Can you tell where I am? Probably not. It's not Eau Claire. There's this beautiful stand of oak trees, one of which is behind me here. And this is the Dunn County Park, Dunn County Fairgrounds Park at the end of Main Street. So that's where I am. I'm going to play a little golf in a second. I thought, well, I'm going to try to fit this chat in before. So, some parish news, a few other things to talk about today. I heard I'm listening to a podcast, America Magazine. I've just been really impressed. They're doing their level best to evangelize to a lot of people that maybe don't get evangelized to that often with America Media. And they have these podcasts. And a new one started with Father Jim Martin and Spiritual Life. And he has these great interviews. He interviewed Whoopi Goldberg, who knew that she grew up Catholic. And just her outlook on life and her return to faith after years without faith. I heard that yesterday when I was driving. Today he's interviewing someone named Ann Carr. I guess she's an author, writes. But I was listening to her conversion story a little bit, and I didn't actually finish it, but she talked about I became Catholic because she said it was like sometimes the child leads you. Her 7-year-old said, "Can we go to church? I want to see if," and she said, "Why do you want to go to church?" Because she had sort of grown up agnostic and sort of looking down on religious folks as not that bright or something like that. And he said, "Well, I want to see if God lives there. I want to see if God is there." And so she said, "Well, I'm not going to say no to that." So, and I guess the kid liked it, so he enrolled in Sunday school and at this Catholic church, I think upstate New York maybe. And so she said she would go. She said, "I mainly became Catholic. What really got it going was I came into the church while my child was in religious ed. And I walked into church and sat in the back row hating everybody there. Like she had this arrogance or hostility toward religious people. So she walked in this, St. Mary's or whatever, Sacred Heart Church. And she said, I hated everybody there. And then she said, and she would grade her papers. She'd brought all these, as a college teacher, she'd grade her papers during Mass, But she said, I walked in hating everybody, and I walked out loving everybody. And she said she did, it must have been maybe a daily Mass, I don't know. But she said she heard the prayers. They must have opened up the prayers for people. The Lord hear our prayers part of Mass. And people, are praying for their uncle with cancer or their child who's an addict. And she just said all those prayers just really touched her heart. And all these people that she had never met before and had a negative prejudice toward when she walked into church, she felt united with them and loved them because she had her own struggles in life. And then she was, they have their struggles too. And I thought it was really, I've never heard it, pretty dramatic, right? I went in hating everybody and I left loving everybody. I thought, maybe there's something to this church stuff. And then she just had a little line there talking to her priest about RCIA becoming Catholic, and she was on the fence a lot. And the priest said, "Well, you can run all you want, but God's running after you, and He's faster." So, anyway, I'm eager to hear the last of it. But I thought that thing about I went in hating and I left loving. Could we do that? Could that be our experience in church? Not that I want you to hate people going in. But could our love for people increase while we're there? Let's put it that way. When we see people going up communion and saying, "Amen, I need you, I want to be fed." It's so true. Was it Thoreau or Emerson, or said most people lead lives of quiet desperation? I don't know if that's true or not, but I think it's true that most people have lots of heartache, lots of things going on in their life that they seek healing for and want love and want to make sense of things, and they bring that to church. And we don't know those stories. People are like icebergs, right? You see 10% of them, or is it an eighth of the ice that sticks up above the water, and the rest is all underneath? So you can bet that a lot of what we don't see in people's lives are things that for which we would have great compassion. This same person said she describes how she became Catholic and connected with the Jesuits, an imaginative prayer where you enter the scene of a scripture story, like the Good Samaritan or a storm at the sea, and you're on the boat with Jesus, and you're closing your eyes, and you know the story, and you just imagine it playing out, and then maybe you take a role in it. She described how that kind of prayer softened her heart and changed her feelings toward people that she struggles with. So I don't know if you have anyone in your life that you struggle with. And she said in her prayer, she asks God to see others as a child. Not that she should have the eyes of a child, but to see other people that she's struggling with as they were as children. Or she sees that as the way that God sees them. And an imaginative practice that led her to empathy. I pray for them. I try to imagine their face and I try to soften my heart, and I pray for them. Interestingly, how I feel about the person changes, she said. I have tried to do that. What works for me is just to, kind of like I was saying, if I'm having struggles with somebody, it's the whole love your enemy, not they're necessarily your enemy, but people that you struggle with, people that are hard to love. I think it's so crucial to always work on that. Those are the bells from UW Stout. I don't know if you can hear them. Hear them? I guess it's 2:00 now? It's just to know, maybe I know their struggles, and just to identify or be conscious or aware of what they struggle with in life. Or more often, I don't know their struggles. But I imagine there's something that happened in their lives that made them, just like things happen in my life, to make me the way I am, to make them the way they are. And some wounds, they were loved imperfectly, they had a difficult childhood, or who knows. And just to recognize that we all share this humanity, and we're all wounded, and we all are meant to kind of work our way through life and heal those wounds as best we can, and to reconcile with people. So imagining their wounds as a way to help love them. So she has a different approach, is to imagine them as children and their innocence that somehow they lost. But I think it's related, that somehow they lost life has affected their personalities and things. Anyway, didn't mean to beat that to the earth too much, but that was a pretty good interview. I like these podcasts lately I've been listening to. Hey, let's do some parish news and get on to a few other things. So, pizza, it's not parish news. But Eau Claire is becoming the pizza capital of the world. No, it's not really, but there are 3 pizza places in Eau Claire that I think are top notch. And I thought, this is not meant to be like commercials or endorsements. And then before you know it, you have a parishioner that owns a place and you didn't realize it. And then you've helped the competition. Anyway, I'm just so delighted to have these opportunities to have good pizza in Eau Claire. Like New York style. There's another one too. But anyway, you can ask me if you're interested in a good pizza. And I think Nick Poss helped me to identify one of them, but one I found on my own. Okay, but back to parish news, or starting with parish news. Express game. So that's this Sunday, okay? Honestly, I forget what time it is. If it's 2:00, you'd have to figure that out. But there's 15 tickets still available. So we bought 50 tickets at some expense, and we're selling them at a discount. And we're selling them for $20, although they're really $25. So we laid the cash out there, and there's still time to recoup those costs if people fit. We bought 50, so 15 tickets are available. Ann will come in on Saturday. So if you could put an order in before Saturday, that'd be great, or maybe Saturday morning would be okay. You can call the office or go to the website and check it out, okay? So that'll be fun. It's you go there and you get all the burgers and hot dogs and soft drinks you can consume. Not that we're encouraging gluttony. And then, meet people, hang out. Bring your sunscreen, bring an express cap. Pilgrimage, July 12th. Just before I left, we heard that one of our persons that we thought maybe could drive the bus no longer has his commercial driver's license. So we're going to be relying on people to maybe shuttle. Nick says he's got a minivan and he can drive people back and forth. Honestly, the response has not been that great, so I don't think we're going to have hordes of people. But let's do it. Let's be a little acorn seed, be pilgrims of hope. So anybody that's up to walking with me, from St. James to Sacred Heart Church on July 12th after Mass. That'll be kind of our event, and hospitality will actually be at Sacred Heart Church. So we'll forego hospitality after that Mass. And hey, if you're like, I can't walk 2 blocks, how am I gonna walk 2 miles? Hey, just drive over there and join us, and we'll start a little short prayer and ice cream sandwiches at about 7:00. At Sacred Heart Church. But any walkers, and then you may want to walk back, or you may want to take a shuttle ride back with people. So it was a great success in Wausau, so I'm just trying to make it a great success in Eau Claire. We'll see how that goes, but something to do for our Jubilee year, Pilgrims of Hope. So there's Thomas Icon. Summerfest is starting to ramp up. We'll have raffle ticket sales after Masses, except I guess not at the 8:00 Mass. Remember, we always sell that script. We have some really loyal people that volunteer their time to sell the script after Masses in the hospitality room. I picked up some festival food script last week, and thanks to our volunteers for doing that. It's just a way to support our Catholic schools and our parish. If on the sheets you put 100% St. James, that means that Regis will always get 50%, the Catholic school system. And then if you put 100 by St. James, that means you get 100% of the rest. So that's how I do it. Okay, yeah. I don't know if quick plug for script. So you can get gas cards. It's the only thing is inconvenience. It can, you can lose a script card, or maybe you buy them and you don't use them, but there's places you always go, like grocery stores or gas, or you like, a certain restaurant in town. A lot of them give, 10% back. So you pay what you get. You pay $100, you get a $100 card, but the script office pays less for it, so they make money. That's how it works. And so check it out. Check out what's available sometime, and you can. They're available after Mass. I know Jolene and Connie and Judy. A lot of people stick around and sell those. So a couple things to show you, a little show and tell. How's this? Can you tell what that is? In the breaking of the bread, we have known him, we have been fed. So this is the road to Mass. So on our pilgrimage, our Holy Land pilgrimage, we went to a Mass. There's actually 3 places that sort of claim they could be a Mass, and my favorite one is where we went. And it's got an outdoor chapel, and it has this icon near the outdoor chapel. And I was just thinking, I was praying with this the other day, and I thought, I know typically Catholic dining rooms or kitchens have a picture of the Last Supper to sort of decorate their homes. And I guess that makes sense. I don't want to put it down, but it just occurred to me that maybe this is a more appropriate image to have. Because what does this say? This says it's in the breaking of the bread, in the sharing of meal, that Jesus was recognized. And isn't that true? I have a lot of hope you have memories of eating with your family and sharing table fellowship together. But I thought, well, this would be, a little more mean. So Last Supper, it's always, it's beautiful. It's the institution of the Eucharist, and we have supper in our dining room. So there's some connection, but I think it's even a stronger connection to what we want to have happen in our homes. That Christ is revealed in our care for one another, and our interest in one another's lives, and our visiting, and our feeding one another, sharing our food together. So just a thought. Tomorrow, big day. Hope everybody's getting ready to celebrate. Here he is, my patron saint, Thomas. So, touching the wound of Jesus. I won't believe. They said he's risen. Jesus was just here. He was just here, Thomas. Thomas is like, nah, you're just fooling me. I'm not going to be vulnerable and believe something that I didn't see myself. Unless I touch his wounds, I won't believe. And the next week, Jesus comes and says, go ahead, Thomas, touch my wounds. And he says, my Lord and my God. Greatest statement of faith in the whole Bible, you know. So sometimes doubt leads to deeper faith. So don't be afraid of it. My question is always, did he really touch the wounds? I don't know. It doesn't say. But almost all the icons, they show, like this one, he's really digging in there, you know. All the icons of this, he's really probing the wounds. And in the Greek iconography, they actually call it the, I forget, it's syllophysis. There's some Greek phrase of Thomas. And the iconographer, I said, how does that translate? Because usually it says the confession of faith. It never says doubting Thomas as the title. This one isn't titled. But this one that I got, it said it's like the probing, the groping, like he's probing the wound, you know. And on a literal level, it's kind of like, you know, yuck. When I do that imaginative prayer, when I've been in that situation and I put myself in Thomas's place, I do not probe the wound. Maybe I should try that sometime. But that's just like, it's really you. I'm so embarrassed I didn't believe. And then I hit the floor and I say, my Lord and my God, excuse my unbelief. Help me believe stronger. And so, I don't know. It's an interesting thing that you could talk about. Do you think Thomas took him at his word and put his hand in his side and put his finger in the nail marks? Or did he have no need to do that after he saw Jesus standing right there? And what I like about the idea that maybe he probed the wounds was Jesus will just go to any length to help us believe. You know, go ahead, you know, do whatever you need to do, Thomas. If you need to touch me, you need to put your hand in my side. I'm here for you, you know. Heard something this week, probably another podcast. I've been driving around and listening to podcasts. That Jesus gives in the Eucharist, he gives himself into our hands. He puts himself into our hands. And if we're going to take the next step and be his presence in the world, having received him, that we kind of give ourselves away. That we put ourselves into the hands of others, and we can't always control the outcomes, but we put ourselves at the service of others. There might have been even a stronger connection to that, but I remember that part. It really touched me, his vulnerability. He's kind of giving up control. Well, I think that was what it was saying. It's like a lot of people get frustrated because God isn't controlling everything, or doesn't seem like God's controlling everything, and we ask for God to intervene, and people, the war in Gaza keeps going on, and every day more people are killed, and we pray for it, and it keeps happening. And won't God assert God's self, you know? And it's not to limit God to say that he can't, but it just seems like he doesn't very often. But what he does is he always gives himself to whoever asks. But it's himself as the presence of love. It's a vulnerable presence. He literally gives himself defenselessly, vulnerably into our hands. You know, he gives himself away to us as his precious gift that we receive and consume, and joins us in our vulnerability in the world. Play with that image for a little while. See if I develop that more days ahead. I read a commentary on today's gospel reading. So today's gospel reading had to do with the pigs. Remember that miracle of Jesus? He goes, there's this demoniacs, people possessed by demons, and they're on the outside of town, and the demons recognize Jesus and says, what do you want to do with us, Son of God? And Jesus says, oh, I want to get rid of you. And he said, well, if you're going to cast us out, put us into these swine. So he does, and then all the swine jump off the cliff into the sea. And then the people respond to this great miracle by saying, we don't want you here, get out. Leave our town. Maybe they were upset that it's the loss of all the livestock. But I think where the commentator was going, which is where I tend to go with that, is maybe we get used to a certain amount of darkness in our lives, sin. And to walk in the light or to experience new life would be new and challenging and maybe cause us some fear. If we walk in the light of God's love and mercy at his disposal every day and surrender our lives to that gracious mystery, where will that lead us? It's out of our control. And whereas maybe we get used to kind of a small world and predictable, and we have our little sins and we're comfortable with them, and just everything is sort of predictable. We like that. So this commentator, anyway, she said, was it she? I think she goes, so with our demons in life, the things that kind of keep us from living more generously, more boldly in life, our demons, maybe they're hard to let go because we spend a lot of time caring for them. We've paid them a lot of attention. We've given them what they've wanted. And then her last words were, they don't ask much of us. We care for them, and they don't ask much of us. Only that we turn to them again and again. They don't ask much of us, only that we turn to them again and again. I loved it. I thought it was profound. Sent a chill in me a little bit. It's like, oh, is that to think that we turn to a source of darkness again and again rather than take risks for the sake of love, just prefer comfort and our addictions, our compulsions, or what we need to maintain a sense of self-importance, rather than just who cares, St. Paul is a great reading, second reading, maybe I'll preach on it this weekend, but he goes, I bear the wounds of Christ now, so let no one bother me. He goes, I have all these critics, they think, that they got the answers, but I bear the wounds of Christ, and I've preached the gospel to you guys. And I guess if you don't want it, accept it, you don't have to, but from now on, let no one bother me, because I bear the wounds of Christ. He lives in me, and I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. So anyway, a little bit running around there. So Pope Leo's doing okay. He's in his beginning of his first months. He had a big talk about the environment and our need to care for it and not make nature be a battleground, but something to sustain life on Earth. People greed and trying to worry more about profit, how we can exploit nature rather than how it can serve us and serve everybody, and how it tends to serve those with power and wealth more than the poor, who suffered always disproportionately. He preached to the newly ordained. He ordained a bunch of priests. I liked what he said. He said, the Lord does not look for perfect priests, but for humble hearts that are open to conversion and prepared to love others as he himself loved us. Then he said to the new priest, thank you. And please remind everyone that it's beautiful to be a priest. We aren't perfect, but we are friends of Christ, and that's enough. I thought that was nice. And he's talking a lot about unity. I think he was elected because some people were worried that the church was getting less unified, and he could be a force of unity, continuing a lot of the important things of Pope Francis, but maybe not being. Some people consider Pope Francis divisive. I always liked him, so I didn't feel that, but he emphasized social justice a lot, and that tends to alienate people that like things the way they are, which tend to be the rich and powerful, because it benefits them. And so a call to greater justice in the world can be a threat to them. And I don't see Leo being less of a fan of social justice. Maybe he'll speak of it differently. But his calls for unity, but I keep looking for where's the specifics? How are we supposed to be unified? What's the key? Is it just words, or is there something we need to do to help be more unified? Something to ponder, huh? So anyway, With this beautiful oak tree behind us, just a few thoughts, a few words for our chat today. Hope to see you at Mass this weekend if you're in Eau Claire. Oh, happy 4th of July. So a lot of our parishioners will be traveling, and a lot of you may be out of town anyway. But may this be a week of faith as we consider our national freedom on the Independence Day. May we maybe ponder our freedom in Christ. As St. Paul said, we bear the wounds of Christ. We have died with Christ in baptism. We have nothing to lose now. We're his. Let us live freely, choosing the good for the glory of God. So, all right, you guys. All right, peace. See you next time.